Welcome to Increase, where it is my task to increase, illustrate, and inundate you with information, knowledge, and overall help cause you to think. And I'm your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr. Hey, how's everyone doing? This is episode number 10 on our Increase podcast. I am your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr., and I'm just here to have some conversations that sometimes, just sometimes, it's a little bit difficult. And so today's topic is nothing that is short of also, because guess what? It's Increase, right? So today we want to talk about forgiveness, the art of forgiveness. And yeah, the lighting is dope, right? My wife purchased better lighting, so I'm so grateful for it. So you get a chance to see me, as well as all my crazy facial expressions. So today, before we even get into our topic, today is the first day of Women's History Month. History. And so I'm excited about that because a lot of times we talk so much about men and the things that they accomplish. And even sometimes when it comes to women, we kind of just talk a little bit about it and then we brush it off. But I believe that women contribute so much, not only in the background, not only in support, but also in the forefront. A lot of the things that I believe that we see today, in out in the open, for instance, came from women. Fun fact: the same Play-Doh that kids use today, right? The man who invented it had no use for it. He didn't know what to do with it. But it was a woman who told him, why don't you change some of the chemical makeup in it so that children can play with it? Because Play-Doh was originally used to clean chimneys and to clean walls. And so that's something that we oftentimes give credit to the person who invented it, but we really need to look at who actually gave him the direction, or who gave the person the direction to go in the path that they did so that it could be successful. Because he had Play-Doh just piled up everywhere and he didn't know what to do with it. But someone who had children, who understood that children needed to be occupied, but also something that could expand their creativity, was like, listen, we could take that And if you make a few changes, voila. I've heard that saying, behind every good man is a great woman. But I think we got to change that, because change the word behind, because, contrary to popular belief, a lot of times we're led by women, and don't even realize, like, women don't even realize how powerful they are and their influence over not just men, but over society. And it's not even always about something sexual, or even about, right, just, being over exertive. One of the funniest, funny things that I love about, children's cartoons and stuff is the message behind it. And when you watch the movie Brave, for instance, and the mother is teaching her daughter Meredith, just how powerful she is. And so Meredith wants to be, you know, just like one of the boys. She wants to do archery and so much other stuff. There you go. And all of that. But she says, she began to show her that just you walking in your femininity, how powerful that is. That she walked in the middle of a fight and people began to stop because of her calmness, her absolute in knowing who she is. She just came in there and dominated the place. And so, yeah, I know women's, history starts tomorrow, because March is, Women's History Month. But I just wanted to get a leap on that, especially by today being the last day, officially, so to speak, that we deal with Black History Month. And so, just looking at all of the Black pioneering women, in society as a whole, those of you who are in the medical field, you need to really pick up the book Medical Apartheid. And the reason why I say that is because you'll begin to learn how influential women were and still are in the medical field. And you'll begin to learn how powerful midwives were, not only in the North, but especially in the South, where children were being not only murdered, but were dying, because of just various sicknesses and diseases. And so hospitals were really killing children. And so it was much safer and cleaner for a woman to have a baby at home than for her to go into a hospital. There's a documentary called The Business of Being Born. And it just began to really talk about how hospitals really begin to take over, how the insurance industry really plays a major and key role into the business of birthing children. And so, I'm sharing all of this because, again, just priming us for March as we talk about and begin to recognize the greatness that is women across the globe. And so, with that, being said, I just want to kind of transition a little bit into forgiveness, because I honestly believe that a lot of times we have to forgive individuals for various things and even forgive ourselves. One of the first women in your life is your mother. And so she's a person that you'll constantly, as you get older and begin to understand more, need to forgive her as well as you forgive yourself. Much of our identity as a society comes from our mothering. It comes from the very place that we were birthed out of. And so a lot of times our forgiveness, as it's been said so many times, um, is a gift to yourself. And I just kind of want to talk about that, the art of forgiveness, because there is an art form to forgiving. There is a method and a modality to forgiveness. It's not just saying, "Oh, I forgive them," and you move on. But there really is a science behind it that plays into your daily life. There are so many people in your life that you truly need to forgive, but you also need to understand that forgiveness is a process. And it's in that process that you learn that it truly is an art form. When we forgive, for instance, we also need to make sure that we're around people who are forgiving. Because if you're not around people who are forgiving, they're going to constantly remind you of the damage that a person has caused you in the past. And before long, they're going to that those words that they share will begin to play on your mind. And instead of you being in a place where you are healing and that you are forgiving and releasing, you'll find yourself harboring all of these emotions, all of this pain, all of the things that you once released or is trying to release. You'll find yourself holding those things into your body. When I was in massage therapy school, I began to learn about how the muscle has memory, and that every time you get a massage, there's like this combination that your body is waiting on in order to release the stress. And so this is why it's just like how a man goes to the same barber and he doesn't let anyone else cut his hair because that particular barber knows how to cut that person's hair. It's the same way even when it comes to massage therapists. Like there are certain massage therapists that you go to and it's like they know exactly where all the pressure points are to release the stress that's in your body because your muscles remember, and your muscle remember not only how to release, but it also remembers how to hold and to harbor. So sometimes, even in our life, when things stress us, we feel it in our chest. You may feel it upon your shoulder blades. You may find that you get like this queasy feeling in your stomach. It's all a part of how your body is processing the stress, processing the things that has happened in your life. And so we need to really begin to not only talk about the art form of forgiveness, but just forgiveness as a whole, especially those who are Christian. Those of you who profess to be followers of Jesus Christ, we definitely have to keep in remembrance that Jesus taught, you know, forgive me as I forgive others. And so we forget those things as we get older in life, as we go through various things. We forget that the same way that we forgive others, oh, the same way we want others to forgive us, we must also be in that same place to forgive others. And it's such a powerful notion to understand, or to be in a place where you begin to just forgive people. And I said earlier, it's a process because it truly is. You got to get to that place wherein you're like, hey, today I forgive them. Like, it happened or whatever. And some things may happen later on down the road and it may come back to your remembrance. And you got to remind yourself, listen, I forgave them of that. I'm no longer holding them hostage in a past situation. I'm no longer, I recognize what it is. I understand what it is, but I'm not going to hold them hostage over that. If I'm not having any dealings with them, these people I haven't talked to in years or whatever, then why am I going to constantly keep them in this mental prison? Because the truth of the matter is that they are living their life. They possibly haven't even thought of it. And so you're walking around harboring this pain, this anguish, this frustration, this resentment that you truly just need to let go of and just say, you know what? I forgive you. It's 2 points that I want to talk about today as it pertains to forgiveness. And the first thing is understanding that forgiveness is self-care. Forgiveness is self-care. You know, someone asked the question, if we try to amend a situation and it's not accepted, are you good? Absolutely. And you know why? Because you put forth the effort. And when we remember things, a lot of times, and I say this all the time, we remember from the last time we remembered. And so when we, when we're trying to ask for forgiveness or even release a person, right, from, whatever situation it may be, and they don't accept it or whatever, that pressure isn't on you because you've done everything that you could. You've came to them possibly more than once to get the situation taken care of. You may never agree with each other, but at least you have an understanding of it. And so it's in that place and in that conversation, when you remember it again, you go, listen, I've talked to them, I sent text messages, I did whatever I could do. So now the ball isn't in my court. Now I can go and live because I've set them free. And if they want to harbor those things, there's nothing that I can do. I can't try to govern their life from my own position. Hey, I'm so glad everyone is coming on. Again, so we're just talking about the art of forgiveness. And a lot of times, we're like, okay, I forgive these people, and then you meet people who know mutual people in that situation, and it's in that that's all they want to talk about or bring up. And before long, you got to get to the place where you go, listen, I just don't want to talk about them. It's not that I'm angry, but I'm just over it. Not interested in anything that they have going on because I'm living my life. And this is what I have going on. You know what I mean? It's really doing what the first note in this podcast, and that is self care. Forgiveness is self care. When you begin to neglect yourself, as into forgiving another person, you're actually hurting yourself. You're hindering your flow of energy, your flow of movement. When you begin to harbor unforgiveness, it robs you of your energy, it robs you of your creativity, it robs you of love, it robs you of joy, it robs you of peace. Like, there's so much that comes away from you than that comes to you. Here's a thought that I was writing some things down. You can't care for your wounds because you're too busy caring for other people's wounds. I'm gonna say that again. Like, that was powerful to me as I just was preparing. You know, you can't care for someone else when you're too busy caring for your own. In other words, if I haven't forgiven a person, I can't care for them. I can't be there for them because I'm too busy handling my own. And it's vice versa. Sometimes we're so busy trying to make sure that other people are forgiving people in their life that we have yet to forgive people in our own personal life. Like, if I'm coming to your house and I'm like, oh man, you need to clean up, but then you come to my house and my house is dirty. It's like, well, why you didn't take your own advice? Why are you not working on what you have going on? So I can't help you if I'm not even trying to help myself. In forgiveness, you're robbing yourself of the ability to not only heal, but to even get stronger. Because life is going to happen. You're going to meet people all the time that's going to do things that's going to hurt you, that's going to bother you. And sometimes you don't even really need to talk about it or even need to address it, because it's going to be it's a perpetual thing. You'll always find yourself always trying to answer to the same old. Like, there are going to always be people who are going to think that you're ugly, or they're going to always be people who think that you're too fat or you're too skinny. They're going to always be people who are going to talk about how big your feet is. They're going to always be people who are going to talk about something that you drive or the house that you live in, or some kind of expectation that they have that you don't meet. And so it really gets to the place where, am I going to be a people pleaser, or am I going to make sure that I'm good? You got to, it's really being solid within yourself, being in that place wherein you're like, okay, so you don't like that. Okay, great, whatever. It's a reflection of themselves that they're projecting on you. So no matter how much you give and no matter how much you do, it's always going to be in that place where it's never good enough, or whatever the case may be. And so you just got to roll with it and let it be. But when you're in a place of unforgiveness, it's hard for you to let that go, and it's hard for you to navigate through those situations, because when people say something about you, then it's going to bring up old pain that you felt. And so you're going to be in this perpetual state of anger. You're going to be in this perpetual state of, everyone's out to get me, everyone hates me, nobody loves me, all of those other things. But when you just forgive people, you begin to understand that not only hurt people, but people who really aren't doing anything always going to have something to say. And so you just got to live your life and let things be. And so there's an art form to it. And that art form to forgiveness is self care. It is really going, okay, I'm going to let not only them go, I'm going to forgive them and release them, but I'm also going to release the pain that comes with it. Because even though you're forgiving them, you're not saying that what they did is okay. You're just saying, now I'm no longer taking a sip out of the cup of pain. I'm no longer sipping the poison that was handed to me that brought me, this displeasure. But I'm just saying, it is what it is, and I'm walking away from it. I'm letting it go. The other part of self-care is forgiving yourself, because hindsight truly is 2020. A lot of times you really don't see things until it's behind you, until you're out of the situation and you're doing some other things, and then you kind of reflect back. But let your reflecting back really be a testament of saying, man, I survived this. Or, you know what? Even though I was in that, there was still so much good in me. I still was able to love, and I was still, joyous, even though I endured so much pain and affliction. I began to even learn more about myself and how patient I am. And I began to learn what tolerances that I have. So it's always different ways that you can look at situations. And those things happen as you begin the process of forgiveness. Sometimes there are people in our life that's so close to us that we really and truly don't know in the moment how to forgive them or how to let it go. And so, because they're so close to us, right? There's some people who are like just your closest friends who are like, yo, I never would have thought they would have hurt me like this. I never thought they would have brought up my past. I didn't know that this was happening while I was going through this. But here's the thing, it's not that it's a shortcoming of me, but it truly is just people being people. And as you begin the process of healing, because healing takes so much, sometimes you got to just go to the water and just sit. Like that's my place. I love just hearing. Like right now, I'm in New York, and where we are is not, it's lakes and stuff. But I miss, home in that respect. Home being Mobile, Alabama, because I miss sitting on the water and just listening to the water and just chilling and allowing my mind to just release a lot of stress. And so sometimes I get on YouTube and I'll just put on a waterfall and I'm just listening to the sound. I may even look at, like some of the scenery or whatever that's on it, but that's just my way of decompressing. Then I may listen to like some jazz, or I may listen to, some old school music, but whatever it is for you that you need to do to release that stress so that you can begin to heal, that self-care. Oh, thank you, Freddie, man. I'm really just. It took me going through a lot of pain. It took me being going through um some traumas in my life that I began to go, wow, okay, I gotta forgive. I gotta I gotta do this for me. I gotta let this stuff go for me. There's some betrayals that has happened in your life that you may not even realize is even there. But at the end of it, you're like, let me take a step back. Because our first inclination is to begin to look down on ourselves after having gone through it. You begin to look down on yourself like, yo, why did this happen? Like, I should have swung on them. I should have cursed them out. I should have did all of this stuff. But that's in the hindsight. Man, if I would have known this, I would have. But here's the thing. We all at times go through stuff, and we got to know how to just say, yo, it is what it is. And even when those things happen, it wasn't to your detriment. It wasn't even to destroy you. One thing I've learned in life, right? You can't look you when you ask for a life of paradise, you also got to prepare yourself for the hurricanes. You got to listen. Living in Alabama, I've learned it. Like the weather is hot, it's humid, but it's beautiful at times. It's wonderful. But also with that same beautiful weather, you got to deal with hurricanes. You got to deal with tropical storms. And those things are not there to destroy you, but it's really to reveal what's always been there. There's a beach there, Dolphin Island, and the beach started several hundred miles away, and and through storms, erosion has taken place, and the beach has begun to move. And because the beach has begun to move, it has given way to being able to be developed, and houses can be built on it. But if the people were so angry and was always trying to stop, the erosion from happening, no one will be able to build a house where they are living now. So a lot of things has to happen in your life so that it can reveal what's truly inside of you. And it's not just about like this spiritual gift or this calling on your life, but really begin to hone in on hidden skills and talents that's inside of you, and really stop and really get you to look at yourself and go, you only have a certain amount of time on this earth. And so, with that allotted time that you have, how impactful are you going to be? Or are you going to spend all of your time looking at other people live life, whether good or bad, or are you going to get yourself out there and begin to live it to the fullest? You're going to be impactful to every person that you meet. Whether it's with a good morning, whether it's a God bless you, whether it's a smile and a nod, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's reaching out to people who are, who are friends and y'all just lost touch with each other. And you like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to reconnect, see how they're doing. Nothing may even come of it, but at least let them know that somebody had them on their mind, because you never know when a person is suicidal. People be suicidal and they're smiling, they're laughing, they're cracking jokes, they're doing all kind of stuff, and you never know. And that's the self-care, because if you're not in a place of forgiveness, you'll just overlook everybody and everything, because you're in such a sour place that you can never look at people for where they are and for who they are, because you're unforgiving. You figure like everybody else is unforgiving. And so you push the world away, you push family away, you push friends away, you push, what I'm saying, people who love you, whether it's a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you push everybody away because you figure like all they're going to do is come into my life and bring me pain. All they're going to do is come into my life, use me, abuse me, and that's it. But you got to get into a place where you begin to do some self-care. That may mean putting some money to a side and get your nails and everything done. That may put some money to the side and that's just be your gas money, and you just drive and just, what I'm saying, and just enjoy the scenery of wherever you live. But whatever it is, get yourself into the place where you begin to exercise the art of forgiveness, wherein you're like, I'm no longer going to hold other people into a mental bondage, but I'm also not going to hold myself there as well. Because the longer I hold them into bondage, the worse off I get. You know what I'm saying? Here's another point. People can only love you to the place or places where pain has not left. So if you are blocking people from certain areas in your life, it's because pain is still there. Like I shared this Sunday. Like there were times in my life where I really didn't know how to receive love. And so one of the reasons why is because there was unforgiveness there. I had been hurt and abused in those areas in such a manner that I didn't want love there. I just wanted it to be a place wherein I'm like, listen, that's a sore spot. I don't want to touch it. I don't want nobody else to touch it. I don't want nobody else to even look at it. And so because of that, it blocked me from receiving love. It blocked me from healing. It blocked me from so many blessings. It blocked me from enjoying life. It blocked me from traveling like I wanted to. It blocked me from, taking a relationship with a friend or whatever to a deeper depth. And so many of you right now, if you're in a place where you're like, man, I got so many places of pain, like I don't even know where to start. I got, man, my grandmother died, my grandfather died, I got a parent who's died. I got friends and stuff who has buried children. And right now they're like, nobody can fill that void. And here's the thing, nothing will ever fill that void of where a person has died. But here's the thing, the void can't be filled by that person in the flesh, but the love that you felt from them fills that void and fills that place. The memories that you've had with them fill that place. And so the pain is they're no longer here, but the result is that their love is still here. Their memory is still here. Their legacy is still here. And so you rejoice in the memory and the love more than the pain of the absence, because before long you'll find yourself, if you don't forgive and if you don't allow love to fill that void, you'll find yourself being bitter. You'll find yourself pushing people away who will remind you of that person. And you say, well, that's a death. How can I, where's the forgiveness? The forgiveness comes in, I'm not allowing myself to love even in those areas, that I'm not allowing myself to receive love even from that place. Because there are people who were attached to that person who you will push away just the same, because they are a part of that memory. And so sometimes it's too painful. And so that's why I shared earlier that forgiveness is a process. It's a process. There is no 1 day, 3 week fix, whatever. It takes time. And that's where the phrase comes from, time heals all wounds. Is because in that time that is passing, your focus shouldn't just be on that person not being here or what could have happened, but it's truly about how you have grown, how you have taken their legacy and shared it with people who are close to you. How many of the stories that you're keeping alive by sharing it with loved ones that's around you? And sometimes in us holding that in, we begin to get angry instead of forgiving ourselves. We get angry because there are things that we didn't get a chance to say, conversate the way conversation may have ended. And so your anger is towards them because you may feel like they've left you, but you got to forgive them because God called them home. But here's the other part, you got to forgive yourself for being selfish and wanting to keep them. Now they're in a place where they're in peace or whatever. And here's even the other part to forgiveness and that self-care in dealing with painful places, right? Because I'm gonna share something with you guys that some know and some don't know. But I've been molested before as a child. I've been raped as a teenager. I've gone through divorce. And so I'm not speaking from a place of, oh, I've read this book or I've heard this from someone else. I'm speaking from an experience. And in each one of those instances, it took time to forgive. It forgiveness comes in various levels. Sometimes you have to command forgiveness there, like I refuse to get angry or I refuse to harbor any kind of ill feeling, because you want to be in a place of healing. You want to be in a place where you just happy and you are enjoying your moment. And so the final piece to today's podcast when it comes to forgiveness is that forgiveness robs us of time. It robs us of so much. So here's the thing about forgiveness, and I say rob us of time because the other part to it is that you have to be selective. And what I mean by selective is that timing piece. Is that when I am in a place where I need to forgive, and when you're in a place where you need to forgive, right? You got to begin to go, listen, I'm choosing to forgive. Not that I feel like this person is deserving of it, because in the moment you may not feel like they're deserving of it, but you got to be select. You know what? I'm choosing to. I'm not gonna let time run away from me, because that's the one commodity in your life that you don't get you can't get it back. Like somebody steal from you, you can replace that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody hit you, whatever, you can possibly hit them back, whatever else will happen to them, right? Time is the one thing, no matter what you do, don't mean it's gonna come back, that you're gonna get it back. You can't get that back. You can't spend money to get time back. You have to live every moment to the fullest. And so it is like how my friend says it. She's a go-getter. You gotta go get it. You gotta you gotta truly find yourself in a position where you saying, I'm no longer allowing the pain of my past to rob me of a bright and sunny future. I'm just gonna forgive. I'm gonna let it go. And you gotta sometimes even purposely forget, because you trying to remember everything takes up all the space for the places wherein you want to remember the good times. Sometimes, how many times have you been in a situation where you're so angry with a person that they literally take all of the fun out of that whole entire day? They made you so angry you don't even remember all of the good that happened in one day. It just literally took everything out of you. It takes so much energy to remember all of that stuff. It takes so much energy to hold unforgiveness. It takes literally next to nothing to forgive, because the more you get into the habit of just saying, you know what, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean that you still have access. Forgiveness just means that I choose to be healed and to be healthy more than I choose to try to hold something over your head. That I would rather let it go, let you go, let it all go, and live in a place of peace than to try to keep you in that situation in this mental chokehold. And by the time I look up, I've had 5 birthdays and I didn't even enjoy neither one of them, because I'm so angry and so unforgiving to so much. Like there's so much inside of you that you're not even like even conscious of, because I'm trying to remember all this other stuff. I remember all the bad. I remember everything. I remember what they did to me. I remember what you said. I remember this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, you're robbing yourself of so much joy. You're robbing yourself of so much happiness, because sooner or later that unforgiveness is going to show up in other places, and you're going to start taking out your pain and anguish on people who know nothing about what you're going through. You're going to take out your frustration out on people who legitimately care so much about you, but they may have slipped up or they may have made a mistake, whatever the case may be. And so now all of the unforgiveness that you've been harboring from these other people now gets dumped on this one person. And now they're carrying baggage that they don't even know is there, but mentally you put it on them. And now you put it on them so heavy that they'll never live up to an expectation that you have. That's why the saying goes, like when you are angry with a person, even them breathing gets on your nerve. Because when you're angry with a person, a lot of times, and especially if you're a person who doesn't forgive and all of this stuff, you dump all kind of stuff on them unknowingly, like just dump it on them, because now you start attaching them to people who they may know or may not even know, and so they're walking Like, yo, what am I doing to you? Like, why you look at me that way? And all the while in your head, you have this hatred for them, this anger towards them, because you've attacked and you've linked them to so many people in so many situations that remind you of a painful situation that they'll never recover from it. They'll never recover from it in your eyes. And you'll push away genuinely good people, people who have like, listen, I learned from my mistake. I messed up. I'm sorry, whatever. And that apology will not even be good enough. And so you're walking around like a warden in a prison, and you have all these people in your mind that you just have locked away. And so it feels like everyone is against you, and it feels like no one loves you. And you begin to alienate and isolate yourself from everything. And you begin to lock yourself away instead of just letting go and forgiving. You know, forgiveness is such a powerful tool. The art of forgiveness is recognizing that I need forgiveness just as much as other people. And the art of forgiveness is truly understanding that we're all flawed and we all make mistakes. And that even though I'm not your judge and jury, and even though what you did was hurtful, I'm not going to keep you into a place mentally and in my heart wherein I'm the one that's going through and suffering and you're walking around free. Forgiveness is a freeing gift from God. It's the one time you go, I'm wiping the slate clean. I'm listen, I'm letting it go because I know that my freedom is tied to it. When I forgive, I'm releasing you and simultaneously releasing myself. And so that is a thing that we all have to really look at and begin to go, who do I need to release and how quickly can I do it? Because at the end of it, you'll really be grateful to God that you were able to do it. So today, take your time, think about some things, forgive as many people as you can, and you'll begin to find yourself walking in another level of freedom that you thought you'll never ever get to walk into. Hey, this has been Increase. I am your host, Alpheus Gibbs. Thank you so much for joining me. You all have a great day. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your week. And I'll see you here Friday at 1 p.m.